Hey guys, I snuck out here to one of my boys' little forts out in the woods, and I kind of made my own book nook out here. So it's pretty nice out here. It's been a beautiful day today, and I hope that you spent a lot of time outside and enjoyed the beautiful weather. We're going to get back to our reading on How to Steal a Dog. Like always, I will back up and I will read a little bit of where we left off yesterday. Okay. Last paragraph that we read yesterday, me and Toby stayed in the car all afternoon, eating graham crackers with jelly and playing Crazy Eights. Toby kept asking me when we were going to take Willie back to Carmela, but I didn't even answer him. I knew that was making him mad as all get out, but too bad. I didn't want to talk about Willie and Carmela. I didn't even want to think about Willie and Carmela. I had this bad feeling that I'd gotten myself into a mess. And it seemed like everything I did stirred that mess up more. Stirred it up so much, it was starting to stink. Chapter 18. By the time Mama got back to the car that night, Toby was asleep and I was finishing up my math homework. "Hey," Mama said, tossing her purse on the seat and handing me a blueberry muffin. "Me and Toby stayed here all afternoon like you told us to," I said, peeling the paper from the muffin and taking a bite. It was dry and crumbly, but it tasted good. "I know that's hard on y'all, Georgina," Mama said. "I promise things will be better soon." "Yeah, right," I said in my head. I've heard that before. But out loud I said, "Have you got enough money saved up yet?" Mama sighed. "Well, I was doing real good until this darn car decided to up and die on us," she said. "I swear, when it rains, it pours." "Well, what are we going to do now?" I said. She dug through her purse and pulled out her car keys. "Well, I'm trying to find somebody who can fix the car cheap," she said. "Patsy's nephew might take a look at it tomorrow." She put the key in the ignition and turned it. But this time, instead of that click sound we had been hearing, the engine whirred and then started with a roar. Mama jerked her head around and grinned at me. "It started!" she squealed. Toby sat up and rubbed his eyes. "What happened?" he said. I pumped my fists in the air and I let out a whoop. Mama clasped her hands together like she was praying and hollered up at the ceiling, "Hallelujah, praise the Lord." The car started?" Toby said. Me and Mama nodded at him, and then we all slapped each other a high five. Mama put the car in gear and pulled into the street. "Let's go find us a place to spend the night before our luck runs out and this thing dies again." We drove through the streets of Darby, Mama humming, Toby snoozing, and me wrestling with all my crazy thoughts. First there was Willie, tied up on that rotten old porch instead of curled up next to Carmela. Then there was Carmela missing her little dog more than anything. And then there was Mookie. How come he kept popping into my swirling thoughts? I wasn't sure, but something about those bicycle tire tracks and this broken car starting up like it did had got me to thinking about Mookie. Mostly he just seemed like a crazy old man, but sometimes I wondered if maybe he wasn't as crazy as he seemed. We spent that night on a dark, quiet street not far from Whitmore Road, which made me think so much about Carmela that I didn't sleep too good. I kept picturing her in my mind, tossing and turning in her bed. She'd probably get up a few times and make that little doggy door, and make sure that little doggy door was open just in case Willie came back during the night. Maybe she'd shine her flashlight up and down the street, whistling and calling his name. She might even think she heard him barking from way off in the woods again and drive her car in that direction, hollering his name out the window. Then she'd come back home all alone and sit on the couch with one of his chewed up toys in her lap. When my mind started wandering over to that old gray house, or to that old house where little Willie was curled up on that dirty, falling apart porch, I sat up in the back seat and I looked out the window at the moths fluttering around a nearby streetlight. The air smelled sweet, like honeysuckle. I could hear the sound of a creek nearby, That even rippling sound of water. Every now and then a bullfrog croaked. Those noises reminded me of the time me and Luann camped out in her backyard. We had shined our flashlights up on the ceiling of the tent and told each other our secrets. Which boys we liked, how many kids we wanted when we got married, stuff like that. Then Luann had said we had to tell each other the worst thing we had ever done. She told me how one time her mom had knitted her a sweater and she had hated it so much that she threw it in the garbage. Then she told her mom she had left it on the school bus. When it was my turn, I had told Luann about the time I wrote a nasty word on my desk at school. When my teacher saw it and hollered at me, I told her Emily Markham had done it. Emily had cried so hard she got an asthma attack and had to go home. That was it. That was the worst thing I'd ever done. But not anymore. If Luann and I camped out and shared our secrets now, I'd have to tell her I'd stolen a dog. What would she think about that, I wondered. I fell asleep that night to the soothing sound of the creek, flowing over rocks and winding through the dark woods somewhere outside the car window. The next day after school, I went straight on over to Carmela's. Toby had to study for his spelling test at the coffee shop. Mama thought I was trying out for the softball team like Luann and Liza and everybody. I knew I shouldn't be lying to Mama, but I had to. I needed to find out if Carmela had gotten any money yet. When I got up on the porch, I could hear Carmela inside yelling, "Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Gertie." Then there was this bang of the telephone slamming down hard. "Carmela?" I called through the screen door. I heard her shuffling up the hall. "It's me, Georgina." I squinted through the screen door into the dark room. Carmela was standing there with her arms dangling limply at her sides and her hair was hanging all over her face. "Carmela?" She lifted her head real slow and looked at me. Her face was all red and splotchy. I pushed the screen door open and stuck my head in. "Can I come in?" I said. She nodded. I stepped inside. The house smelled like rotten food or something. "Well, what's the matter?" I said. Carmela made her way over to her easy chair and dropped into it with a grunt. Her hair was damp with sweat sticking to her splotchy cheeks. "I came home from work early just so I could call Gertie," she said. "I should have known better. She just flat out won't lend me any money." "Oh. I guess she don't remember that time that I kept her kids while she was in the hospital," she said. "Or that time I drove clear out to Gatesville in the middle of the night when her car broke down." She took a magazine off the pile on the coffee table and fanned herself. "I guess being sisters don't mean nothing," she said. "Well, so what are you gonna do?" She threw her hands up and let them fall to her knees with a slap. "Nothing I can do. If somebody brings Willie home, I'll just have to..." "Hey, wait a minute." She snapped her fingers and grinned at me. "What?" I said. I know who'll lend me some money," she said. "Well, who?" "My Uncle Haywood." She pushed herself up out of the chair and went over to the desk. She took a beat-up address book out of the drawer and flipped through the pages. "There." She jabbed a finger at the page. "Uncle Haywood, I'm going to call him." And so she did. She called her Uncle Haywood and told him the whole pitiful story. I'd lived every minute of it, but it like to broke my heart hearing about it like that. When she finished, she said, "Yes, sir," and "No, sir," and "I will." And by the time she hung up, she was grinning at me and clapping her hands. "Well, is he going to lend you the money?" I said. "He sure is." Carmela pushed the damp hair away from her face. "Now, all I have to do is hope and pray that someone brings my Willie home," she said. Suddenly her smile drooped and her eyebrows squeezed together. "Do you think he's okay?" "Who?" "Willie," she said. "Do you think Willie's okay?" "Sure," I said. "Really?" I nodded. Carmela looked out the window. "Oh, I hope you're right," she said. I bet he's trying to find his way home right now. Carmela kept staring out the window. I wonder where he is, she said. I felt my face burning. I was glad Carmela wasn't looking at me. I bet he's, probably. Oh, I hope he's not scared, Carmela said. I shook my head. Nah, he's not scared. I bet he isn't. You know, like I said before, if I had $1 million, I'd give every penny of it away just to get Willie back. She nodded at me. I really would, she said. I looked down at the dusty wooden floor. Did you get a chance to check those woods over there? Carmela said, jerking her head toward the window. Yeah, a little. I said, me and Toby, we looked in there some, but... Well, did you call his name? Carmela said. And whistle? I'm sure, yeah, we did. I said, we called and we called. Georgina? Carmela put her hand on my shoulder. I'll give you that $500 and anything else you want if you find him. I nodded, but I couldn't make myself say anything. I knew if there was ever a time for me to say, Carmela, I know where Willie is, this was it. But I didn't. And I knew my silence was like stirring. And the more I was stirring, the worse it was stinking. All right, guys, that finished up chapter 18. We will start tomorrow's reading with chapter 19. Today, I spent a lot of time at school. I got your packets and everything ready for your parents or someone to pick up on Thursday. So anyway, it's just been really boring at school, not having you there. It's a lot more fun for you guys and for me to be at school and to be together. That way I can, pester you a little bit and pinch on you a little bit and have fun and laugh. And I really miss that. I miss seeing you guys. So I hope that everyone is doing well, and I hope that we get to see each other soon. Talk to you later.